Cross live now to Beirut and political analyst Sharmine Narwani, who's covering the Middle East for the Huffington Post. Sharmine, evening to you. There's still energy in these protests from what we're seeing, and as well with Hezbollah's leader stoking things by calling it the worst attack on Islam ever. With that all in mind, how long do we expect this current backlash to last, do you think?
Well, I hardly think it's the worst attack on Islam ever. I mean, even if we've never heard of the Crusades, it's not even the worst attack in the 21st century.
Not our words, Hezbollah's, of course.
Right, the war on terror probably is. I mean, people are reacting to this film, but, from my perspective, it's just the straw that broke the camel's back. There's plenty of history of U.S. relations in the area, plenty of precedent for why people in this region, Pakistan, elsewhere in the Muslim world, would react strongly to the U.S. Is this just an excuse? Is this, like I said, just the straw that broke the camel's back? I'm not sure.
Let's focus for a minute on the violence we've seen today unfolding in Pakistan. Where does this leave America's reputation with the Pakistani people? Rocky, as it's been for a while, of course, because of those deadly drone strikes. I guess it's even worse now, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, there's this trouble between the U.S. and Pakistan is, has been worsening in the last few years. It's not all the U.S. either. I mean, okay, so we had 20 million displaced Pakistanis during the floods, and then of course you had the incident where 24 soldiers were killed and the NATO supply lines to Afghanistan were blocked because the Pakistani people got so angry. But you have worsening rhetoric coming out of the United States. Now there are no civilian casualties of drone strikes in Pakistan. Any boy, any male within the sort of military age range is now a legitimate target. So, there's always something driving Pakistani anger towards U.S. policy in its country and in its, direct neighborhood. So this could, this will continue. This will ebb and flow, I think, until something gives.
Yeah, well, broadening back out again in the immediate term, we're seeing ongoing calls for protesters to demonstrate peacefully by the leaders in many of these countries. But those calls have failed completely by what we're seeing. What is actually going to stem the violence right now?
I think there's a lot of focus on this violence. I mean, something's happened. It's gotten people angry. Some people have died. It's not been a lot. I mean, you've had violence break out, let's not forget, in the streets of Greece and Spain, but we don't take the same attitude towards that. There are many countries in the Muslim world that are now exercising for the first time their ability to speak out and demonstrate and congregate in public. So there are bound to be mishaps. The focus on what's been happening in the last 10 days is being, mostly on the violence as opposed to on the peaceful demonstrations is just something the media does.
Your thoughts about those pictures we've been seeing of the Al-Qaeda flags being flown during the anti-American protests all across the Muslim world? How's that going to go down in Washington? And will it make it reconsider, do you think, who it backs in the region in light of its support of rebellions which seem to be backfiring on it? Syria?
Yeah, if only. I think, we have to recognize that there isn't really Al-Qaeda anymore. I mean, every few months we hear about the U.S. Killing the, first or second in command of Al-Qaeda. There cannot be many left of them. Al-Qaeda has now morphed into an idea more than anything. Extreme militant Salafists who have perhaps some of the same targets in mind as Al-Qaeda, but they're not organized necessarily with the organization or what's left of it. The U.S. has known for some time that you have these elements moving in to take their position in the Syrian conflict. And so you find the U.S. and Al-Qaeda as bedfellows in Syria. And to see this backlash in Libya, where you had the same kind of bedfellows, Salafist, militants, on the U.S. and NATO side, seeing the result of that may make some policymakers in Washington rethink their position. We just don't know. Elections are coming up soon. There's no way to really tell.
Sharmine, thanks for your thoughts. Appreciate it. Sharmine Narwani there, political analyst covering the Middle East for the Huffington Post.